Всем большой привет! Продолжаем проходить вампира. Приятного просмотра, хорошего настроения и общения в чатике.
The flower's dying. It needs water.
Привет, Серега. Мы тут в вампирчика играем. У нас уже один житель умер. У нас уже все хорошо. Кто-то за нами следит тут.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You set the table for a snake. I'm wondering
Так, а
why
я...
there's venom in you.
микрофон я сделал.
Growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCullum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
То я думала, что это.
I've
Микрофон
a
не
good nose
опустил.
for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stone, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
I know this place means something to you. I have noticed how you suppress your appetite when around the staff and patients.
You need to know you can trust me, Edgar.
I do, dear fellow, I do.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you. and your staff.
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.
Так, ну чё, Вест-Энд нас сюда будут отправлять, да? Да? Фёнчики, ложись. Ложись, Бонька, давай. Иди. Так, я тебя накрою. Все. Устраивайся.
If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated belief.
Тут у меня проблемы начались из-за того, что и проблемы с больницей, и то, что я, по-моему, квартал один загубила. И началось вот это вот. Хотя, может быть, это, честно, я не знаю.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened, lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton who killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Prewin come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewin. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I can guarantee one thing. The Guard of Prewin would never dare to attack the hospital while I'm in charge here.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
Thank you, Edgar. If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
Thank you,
По-моему,
Edgar.
я обо всем говорила.
Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Чем, кстати? У них что-то здоровье, я смотрю, не очень.
Time has lost its effect on me, but the suffering continues. The pain is there again.
What on earth happened here?
Серег, как дела? Подготовка как к Новому году идет. Мы уже тут почти подготовились.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Can you tell me anything about recent events at the hospital?
Before the shouts and the noises, I think I heard whispers coming from the stairs. 2 voices, maybe more.
Did you recognize the voices? What did they say?
I couldn't hear. Sounded like they were arguing or something.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire? Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Да. Можно сделать операцию.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Блин, опять накосячила.
Why do you feel responsible?
I wasn't...
Why lie about it?
Come on.
Reconstruct.
I don't want to...
Блин, накосячила. А тут все
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
аккуратно
Damn.
надо.
The pain.
There again.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Everybody's afraid. Death has always been a frequent visitor.
Короче, будет еще одно прохождение вампира,
How can we
я
cope with that?
чувствую.
As a nurse at this hospital, it
Но
is
только
your
уже не
duty to
знаю, или
deal
на
with these
стрим,
things
или
as
без
best you
стрима
can.
буду проходить.
Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reed. I've seen what that monster did to the woman.
А, кстати, Серег, ты тут? Денис, наверное, уже убежал. Всем большой привет, кто приходит.
I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes, Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all anyone can hope for nowadays.
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
But you're doing something important here. For all the patients who need your help.
We save lives, sure. Each time we send a cured patient home, it's a relief beyond words. But since the epidemic, I feel so powerless.
What steps are you prepared to take to feel more useful?
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is in the streets nowadays. Maybe she's right. This is what I must do.
And what about Milton Hooks? Does he share your point of view?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace. I disagree.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, you've lost faith.
On the contrary, my faith has never been stronger. Maybe we are all just too proud to face up to the fact that science cannot compete with God.
Milton cheats patients out of their money at this hospital, Pippa. Are you his accomplice?
Yes, I am.
Is this your definition of being useful? By abusing the sick and poor?
No. It is my definition of getting out of this useless life once and for all.
Why do you do it?
Why not? Most of the sick who paid for a bed are already dead, or will be soon. Don't you see the futility of all this?
И что мне выбрать? Ценис вас не спасет. Это лицемерие. Вы торговали надеждой. И как? Что выбрать? от этого всего.
You put a price on hope. This goes against everything you swore to uphold as a nurse.
Report me then, Dr. Reed. Report the little nurse and keep on lying about the surgical errors, the wrong dosages and diagnostics that we all covered for the sake of our colleagues.
Whose idea was it?
What difference does it make? We did it together, and I'm guilty as charged.
Answer my question.
It was my idea first, even though Milton would say it was his, to protect me.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Да, тут теперь надо будет со всеми болтать. Ой. Нет, игра точно не для одноразового прохождения.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but well, maybe it was him.
Так, ладно, я вернулась. Мне тут звонили.
How are things here?
Not good, to say the least. We're struggling against an invisible enemy, more lethal than any bullet from a gun. It's hard, Doctor.
Do you think this hospital can survive the epidemic?
We are all volunteers here, and we're trying to hold fast, but how do we beat an invisible killer? Some nurses have already resigned.
I'm not familiar with all the staff yet.
Brilliant professionals, most of them.
Most of them.
It would be inappropriate for me to speak.
Ну, понятно. Пока тут нету диалогов. Что у нас тут?
Goodbye, nurse.
Ничего нет.
Call me if you need assistance. Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still save lives?
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Someone killed Miss Jones in her room, and Mr. Hampton's gone missing. Doesn't take a genius to piece it together.
You don't seem shocked by any of this.
Why should I be? Whoever did this must be long gone by now. And besides, he got rid of the old bag.
Do you know that Nurse Hawkins is thinking of leaving the hospital?
That's not a surprise. We've talked about it already.
Does it not bother you?
Sometimes I think she may be right. We should run away while we can. Question is, where can we go? Where is it safe?
Admit it. Nurse Hawkins is more than your lover. She's also your partner in crime.
Of course she is. How else could I tell which bed is free? I need to know that.
Have you no shame?
Don't you see this city is crumbling down? Today, people are ready to pay to get a hospital bed. Tomorrow, we may be fighting for food.
Tell me why you're extorting money from some of the patients here.
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all.
Where did you get the idea for such an immoral scam?
Funny you should ask. The first time it was from a patient who bribed me to get a bed. It's only then I realized I could make a fortune.
Goodbye, Milton.
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman. Butchered by some savage scowl.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the scowl, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Have you embraced this woman? Like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon. Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
Так, ладно, я вернулась.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
Так, ну давайте поговорим.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Так, ладно.
As for me, what a blundering idiot.
It's locked, all right. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have to go now, sir. To contact me if you need any help.
Уже пропала.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a disgrace. How on earth can patients be attacked in their own rooms?
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Don't waste your time with me.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I had shouting coming from the first floor. I was asleep when it started.
Ну, я пока не могу с ним.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful, I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
Do you need any help?
Thank you, Dr. Reed, but you've done enough already. The rest is up to me now.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I'm sure it was not your fault, Dr. Reed.
My fault? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. It's just... I heard it was you who brought the murderer inside our walls. But you couldn't know, could you?
Tell me, Thoreau, what's the real cause of your dislike for Dr. Ackroyd?
He refuses to admit that your blood transfusion technique is the only way to save Mr. Fiddick. I'm convinced we must use it.
What Dr. Ackroyd really said is that you lack the skill to perform this operation efficiently. Is there anything you have to say about this?
It's a false conceit. Dr. Ackroyd secretly envies your reputation. His jealousy blinds him. I'm not the real target here.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Reads me
Waste
like a
your
book.
time with me.
Never could keep anything from her.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Nothing like this would have happened if we'd had enough staff and proper shifts.
So you don't think the blame is ours?
We all hold fast here, Dr. Reed. Our methods may differ, but we are all trying to make a difference.
What do you think of Dr. Tippett's opinion of your promotion, Waverley?
Tippett is a good practitioner. Maybe just a little too attached to his prestigious position at the Pembroke Hospital.
Really? That's exactly his diagnosis of you. A little too eager to get promoted? A little bit too proud?
He has the right to think so. But I deserve this promotion. And I don't consider it anything but well-earned.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Так, ну что, мы один еще квест завалили. Пойдем с этим.
Good evening,
поговорим.
Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Please, tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital.
I heard Miss Jones call for help from her bedroom. There were some loud noises, like people fighting. All of a sudden, it went quiet. And then a nurse started screaming.
Do you know who the nurse was?
Not sure, but I think it was Nurse Hawkins.
You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids. We never found her body.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
Так,
Good
а
evening,
мне
Mr.
есть
Fiddick.
что тебе
Good evening,
дать?
Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Так, ладно, тут мы поговорили со всеми, да? Вообще, что у нас тут по заданию? У нас, если честно, вообще очень много чего не открыто. Стабильная, здоровая. Так, головная боль. Так, вопрос, где нам его найти? Это мигрень, у того головная боль, блин. Где этого Освальда Тэтчера искать? Вопрос в другом.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a tragedy, pure and simple. The hospital is meant to be a safe haven to all. We failed the people who trusted us with their care.
Do you think I should not have brought Mr. Hampton back here?
It's not your fault. You rescued that poor soul. It was the Christian thing to do. But we should have noticed his instability.
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a tragedy, pure and simple. The hospital is meant to be a safe haven to all. We failed the people who trusted us with their care.
Do you think I should not have brought Mr. Hampton back here?
It's not your fault. You rescued that poor soul. It was...
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Так, а кого там у нас? Подождите-ка. Нет. Не тот. Так, вопрос. Бенджамин Палмер.
Hey, Doc. What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
All I know is I ain't letting anyone rip my throat out in my sleep.
Привет, Жень. А Дениса нету. Денис приходит на 3 секунды и уходит.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
All I know is I ain't letting anyone rip my throat out in my sleep. I found myself a nice blade, Doc. I'm ready.
Привет, привет. Всем большой привет, кто присоединяется.
Am I right to assume your wife's letter pissed you off, Clay.
I was so mad, I threw away the knife she got me when we got married.
Your wife gave you a knife as a wedding present.
That knife has always been my lucky charm. If I'd had it in my hand when I got stabbed on that pier, I'd not have been wounded.
Да, наверное.
A lucky charm? I never would have taken you as the superstitious type.
We all have our flaws, Doc. Mine's to have my weapon of choice for when the really dirty business comes around.
What can you tell me about your marriage, Clay?
Marriage is the sweetest cage, they say. Well, I found myself locked in one with a wild animal.
You mean your wife keeps you on your toes?
No, I mean, we both have claws and we both love to bite.
Ну вот еще раз скажу, вампир однозначно это не один раз прохождение. Это вот как, например, хроники последних дней игра. Тоже не на один, но прохождение.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
Так, ладно, с тобой мы поговорили. Освальд. И неизвестный.
Hello again, Mr. Thatcher. Do you feel any better now?
Yes, this neighborhood may stink of dog shit and reek of piss, but to me it smells like the pure mountain air.
Do you need medical attention?
Don't get me wrong, sir. I'm grateful for what you've done, but I've never felt comfortable with doctors.
I'm certain you have your reasons, but let me assure you, I'm not like other doctors you may have consulted with.
It is true. You risked your life to save me, after all. It would be impolite to refuse your counsel.
А куда тот мужик ушел?
Mr. Thatcher, do you have a job?
No. Since I came back from the war, I spent most of my time and energy just trying to forget.
I understand what you mean. I was a soldier too.
No. Nobody can truly understand what I've gone through.
Why were you locked in that sewer? What happened?
I went by the canal after an argument with a friend. Got chased by these fucking wankers and had to barricade myself in, despite my claustrophobia.
Why did you run? What was the reason for your argument?
Newton wanted me to go to a hospital, but I can't stand being closed in. It makes me feel like I'm suffocating.
Tell me about your claustrophobia. Has anyone given you an official diagnosis?
That's what the bloody doctor said. But I don't want to go to a hospital to get checked again. I'll deal with it my own way.
Oswald, why did you not go to the Pembroke Hospital to seek medical help?
I don't trust doctors. All they care about was their careers and processes. I won't be locked in any room again by anyone.
Your fear of being trapped is not going to go away by itself. You need professional help.
I've seen enough butchers in white coats to last a lifetime. Hospitals reek of chemicals and death. What I need is fresh air.
Do you want to talk about why you have this fear of being enclosed, Mr. Thatcher?
No, I really don't.
An irrational fear like yours is usually rooted in a specific event. Perhaps it would help to talk about it.
Well, Doctor, take a guess then, if you're so interested in my case.
Perhaps you were trapped or locked in somewhere. The horror of war could have brought this memory back to the surface.
Are you joking? I grew up on a farm, had a bloody fantastic childhood.
Блин, опять накосячила твою дивизию.
Do you want to talk about...
No. Well, Dr.
Perhaps you...
Are you joking?
Все завалило.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself.
А где этот?
It's locked.
Был тут неизвестный.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed of the Pembroke Hospital. May I be of assistance?
Dr. Reed. So it's you who saved my Oswald. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
And you are?
Newton Blight. Oswald and I recently returned from the war.
You are always welcome at the Pembroke Hospital. As a former officer, I'll be honored to welcome a fellow veteran.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because you've been through it, you could talk him round.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? Speak about it, of course.
War was... well, you know, sir. The stench of death everywhere. Your mates lying bleeding in the mud. Just praying to make it through and get home. Bloody nightmare.
Did you know Oswald Thatcher before the war?
No. We met in the battlefield. I think we went to France. We've stuck together ever since.
I fought in France, too. I served as a field surgeon, but it was not uncommon to repel an assault, especially at night.
Yeah. The first time I was wounded, I had to protect the infirmary from hostiles. Twice.
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital. And me, I've got my own issues.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run. It's that fear that stopped me from going after Oswald when he left.
What caused your phobia of rats, Newton?
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And there were rats.
Go on.
They started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears. With fingers, lips. Couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald. He found me and...
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself.
Good evening. Evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care
С
of
ним
yourself.
я завалила, короче, ну да. А, кстати, я это...
Hello again, Mr. Blight.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Не просканировала,
You doing your
болеет он
rounds as usual?
чем-нибудь или нет.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself. Good evening.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself.
Понятно, у этих клаустрофобия. Так, давайте, знаете, куда сходим? Так, тут завалили. Тут что у нас? Мигрень. Восстановление. Так, ладно. Отслеживать. Так, подождите, а нам... Ага. Так. Основные задания, да? Это у нас основное задание нам сюда. Ладно, знаете, сходим. Короче, сходим вот сюда вот, на кладбище. Так.
It's locked, all right.
Понятно, мы сюда все-таки не можем пробраться, да? Так, ну мы половину прошли этих товарищей.
Shouldn't you go back home, where you'll be safe?
Maybe later. But for now, I need to talk to my husband. Cemetery, Mr. Reed.
Так, ну, смотрите. Квест она не дает. Мы сюда шли-то зря. Я не хочу с вами драться. привет! Привет, привет. Так, давай тебе-то небольшой перерыв, 5 минуточек, и я вернусь, 5 минут. Хотя уже 15:47. Что-то лежит, возьмем. Привет, привет всем, кто подходит. Так, что у нас вообще по заданиям? Это хочет там быть. От мигрени у нас нету. По сюжету нам надо идти в порт. По дополнительным квестам. Где? Так, наверное, эти товарищи будут в порту, куда мы пойдем. Понятно. От мигрени я знаю где. Так, ладно, хорошо. Тут все ясно, все ясно. Одну мы уже нас отъехала. Кучу квестов мы, можно так сказать, теряем. Тяжелое на состояние, оно еще не критичное, но тяжелое. Это у нас причал. Мы туда на причал сейчас вернемся, там подлечим от мигрени. Так, вопрос в другом. У нас еще задание надо повыполнять. Короче, 5 минуток перерыв. Так, по заданию нам надо вернуться.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Is there anything you can tell me about the recent commotion here?
Many things can happen under cover of night, Dr. Reed. But I took no part in this massacre.
But did you see or hear anything?
I can't say I did. But the smell of fresh blood almost made me faint, Doctor.
Tell me, Thelma, what do you really know about vampires?
I saw one and he saw me. I watched him hunt and kill. I saw his terrible wounds heal as his victim died. And then I knew I was saved.
You mean you actually saw a vampire? Here in London?
Yes. And it has been the answer to my pain. I must drink and kill to regenerate my decaying body. I am a vampire too.
Вы ничего не знаете о вампирах, вы страдаете галлюцинациями.
You have no idea what problems your claim could cause if heard by the wrong people, Miss Howcroft. You must stop this nonsense now.
Why fear the truth? Strange things live in the dark, Dr. Reed. Strange and ancient beings that were here before this even had a name.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Так, ладно. Так. Это тоже сюда, в порт. Да. Ну-ка. Это куда? Так, ясно. Это у нас что? Ну, пойдемте Сюда тогда. Опять. Такое ощущение, что это бесконечное задание. Я вроде бы же его делала. Ждите. Давайте зайдем в комнату к себе.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Привет. Ой. Да, Женя, нету толпы людей. Пойдем сделаем одну миссию и будем заканчивать стрим. Ну, вот сюда надо. О, Господи.
Better go home, sir.
He's mine! I'll take Oh, Christ! Fuck, it's fast!
Так, и... Куда нам? В DNX уже разобрали Xbox. Да, там. Жень. Я почему-то в этом даже не сомневалась. Ну, наверное, уровень сложности из-за этого и лут респавнится. Так, что тут по заданию? Найдите местный... Ревена. А, так это вниз. Я здесь была. Все теперь на выход.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Ну... Кирдец. Наверное, вот это задание. Я просто сюда не пошла из-за уровня, наверное. Так.
Die, vermin!
Короче, квестик мы уже... Уже квестик мы, считай, сделали. Так. Да, я сюда, по-моему, не пошла, потому что уровень был. Так, подождите, карта. Задание. Вот с ней я так и не поняла. Я с ней не поняла в плане задания. Так, теперь ее надо успокоить. Квест этот выполнен. Так, все, по-моему, здесь. А нет, не все взяла. Ну-ка. Больше нигде ничего не светится. Давайте пройдем. Вдруг где еще что поклали. Эта игрушка классная, но не на одно прохождение. Это реально она не на одно прохождение. Так, я думаю... Так, это мы читали. Тоже... Так, я на всякий случай, потому что я знаю, что... Что от этого зависит. Информация. Так, все. Идем теперь на сохранение. Да, вот. Это называется это. Что надо читать все это дело. Все вроде бы. Ладно, посмотрим. Ничего не поклали больше. Паутинки. Что-то есть. все шикарнее. Низкий уровень заряда в геймпаде в батарее. Понятно. Разрядился аккумулятор. Это мы смотрели. Так, пойдемте к ней. Скажем, что уже ей ничего не угрожает. Где он? Вампирчик, ты где? Вот она.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
Need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
I have made inquiries about the men who were tracking you, Miss Howcroft.
I did not expect a mortal to have this sort of courage. Speak, Doctor. Why are they hunting me down?
Так, ну и что? Никто вас не ищет? Это недоразумение.
It was a misunderstanding. These hunters were in fact looking for a very different creature, but they mistakenly put their sights on you.
I knew it. I have become undone. Those hunters have discovered me, but they don't know what I'm capable of.
If you'll accept some advice from a petty mortal, I think you should assume a low profile and just quietly disappear into the shadows.
You are right. Served me well, mortal. Take this as a reward for your time. Perhaps I will allow you to drink deep of my blood. One day.
Thank you. I'll keep that proposition in mind.
Ну все.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Все, ладно. В комнату бежим. Тут портироваться не могу. Кстати, тут ничего не поклали.
It's locked, all right. It's locked.
Понятно, закрыто.
It's locked.
Ну что, всем большое спасибо за просмотр, за поддержку. Всем пока-пока. До новых встреч.
It's locked, all right. It's locked.
Понятно, закрыто.
It's locked.
Ну что, всем большое спасибо за просмотр, за поддержку. Всем пока-пока. До новых встреч.